Good afternoon everybody and welcome back to another episode of Rift Amps. Right, Ainsley Lister signature progress. So, where did we get to last time? Oh yeah, we'd just done the board. And I've now started the chassis wiring. So, making all the connections between sockets and caps and things. So that's where I've got up to so far in the chassis. I've got some other little bits and pieces to do as well. I've also started doing the reverb and effects connections, effects loop connections that go on the back panel. Now I actually use an old control panel just as a template to help me wire that up, so you can see what that looks like. Starting to get the connections in and done. Sometimes these things are easier to do outside the chassis, so that's a good trick there. So pots have got to go in, rear's got to go in, more connections to do. Then I need to go back to the board. I've got the underboard connections to make, and then the twisty runs on top, plus the flying leads, and then starting to merge all of that together. Fender Hot Rod Deluxe. This one's come in. It's making some weird noises. I'm going to try and show you. Hopefully you can hear what's going on, but it sounds a bit like some weird static. I'm just doing stabs there. Strange noises. Let's see if we can find what the problem is. Right, so the only thing I've found is noisy V1. But if I bring the reverb up, you can hear the noises being reverbed itself. So it's the noise is being generated before the reverb circuit in the amp. So let's just quickly try a new V1. I'm also not happy with the speaker connections on here. He's put some kind of extension on, but it's all a bit rubbish. The chopstick test isn't really giving much away. Just tapping on the table there, and it does it. Isn't that interesting? Okay, so Hot Rod Deluxe update. The valve at the moment seems to have fixed it. I got the amp really hot, it stopped making the noise, and I couldn't get it to play up again for the rest of the day. So what I've done is I've turned it off, I've buttoned it back up, and I'm going to let it sit over the long bank holiday weekend. So next Tuesday I'll fire it up so it's got a proper cold start again, and we can have a listen to see if it's fixed or not. Right, yesterday we had a load of amps dropped off for service and repair. First one is this Fender silver plate 68 custom deluxe reverb reissue. So this is one of the modern reissues. He's got two issues with it. The first one, he says the reverb is intermittent, it will just completely switch itself off and then it will kick back in at a random time. Just, you know, there's no, doesn't make any sense, or there's nothing he's doing that's kicking it on and off. So we need to look at that. And he said he's noticed that it's starting having volume drops when he's playing live or rehearsing. He'll notice that suddenly he just can't hear his amp in the mix anymore, and then it seems to come back in really slowly, which is quite interesting. So we need to look at that as well. And he wants me to give it a full check over, see if there's anything else we can spot. So I haven't seen one of these for a while, but it's got a really nice Celestion V-type in. I really like those speakers, they're really cool. He said he's replaced some valves and things. He's revalved the 6 V6s and the reverb driver, thinking that might fix his issue, but so far no luck. So we'll look into that. He says he set the bias quite cold just to be conservative. Actually a really good way of doing it if you can't measure it properly. So we'll have to reset the bias on this. Okay, and then Jono dropped down 3 amplifiers for service and repair. Actually 4, tell a lie, 4 amplifiers. First one is his Ampeg SVT 300 watt bass amp. Now I don't usually touch these simply because they are a pain in the arse, and there is an official Ampeg service centre about an hour and a half from here. So I usually just say, you know, take it there. They get all the manufacturer support and they can look after these things. But he said, would you just give it a quick check over and look, see if we can see if there's anything obvious. If not, I'll have to go back to them. But they are, I mean, they are the benchmark bass amp really for valve amps anyway. Absolute beasts, and they do sound great when they're working, but they're not as reliable as you think they'd be. So but as I said, I normally just say I'm not interested, take it to the official place, and they'll get it sorted for you. But we'll see where we are. His second amp is the Fenton Whale Hornet, which is a small 6-watt combo, 2 channels and a master tone control. Rear things coming off there. He said both channels sound a bit ugly, one's worse than the other. I had a quick look at the schematic. They mix quite early on, so we'd have to have a look and see what's going on in there. But it's got a tiny, tiny little 8-inch speaker in the back. Yeah, it's got the transformer mounted on the speaker there. So we'll have to look at that. But these are cool little things. It's actually the same as the Selma Futurama. No, the Selma Corvette. The bigger brother of the Hornet was the Fenton Whale Cadet, which had tremolo, which the Selma Futurama Corvette also has. So this is the very bottom of the product line, the most basic, simple. But actually, they do sound really cool when they're turned up. So it's actually in pretty nice shape. I've seen a lot worse. So we'll get onto that shortly. At least we'll plug it in and see what it's doing, and work out what his problem is. But I'm actually looking forward to these because I haven't had one in for quite a long time. And finally, here's an amplifier that I've never seen in person before, and in fact I completely forgotten they actually ever existed. It's called the Hustler by Orange, obviously, and I think it was it is their version of a Fender Twin. In fact, they've called it a reverb twin rather than a twin reverb, so it's pretty on the nose. But I don't actually know how internally whether it's a direct copy of those circuits or if it's actually been modified and tweaked to sound different. But it's got the same style knobs as Carlsberg are using on amps like the 50 top, which is interesting. But it is a big 2x12 combo. It's got orange branded speakers, and unfortunately if you take the covers off you see what they really are underneath. So I have to stick those back on because that one's loose. Now this one appears to be, well, it's called the model number 125, but it's only got 2 output valves. And I would have thought it had 4. It's definitely got space for 4, but I need to do some research to see if it was actually a 50-watt model or not. But a very, very cool, interesting amp. I'm actually gonna this will be the second amp I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do the Fenton Whale first, but I definitely want to pull the chassis and have a look inside to see what work's been done before. But of course, most importantly, it's got the seal of approval. Look, whoa, beast. So there you go, Orange the Hustler. The owner's actually thinking of selling this once we get it working again. Oh yeah, what was the issue with it? That's right. He said he hasn't powered it on for about 2 years, and last time he did, it let the magic smoke out. So he quickly turned it off, stuck it in the corner, hasn't touched it since. So we'll need to have a look to see what went up. And then, but he does want it working, so he can sell it. And then we can, oh, that knob's loose. Then we can at least get it going. Because they're actually really cool amps, actually, thinking about it. Especially as a pedal platform. Although I don't know whether actually people would want to gig a 2x12 combo anymore. I certainly wouldn't. You know, I can't even lift it onto the bench. I've got to use my flight case to wheel it around. So, anyway, yeah, Fender. No, Orange. Whoops. Orange Hustler Reverb Twin. Well, that's it then, guys. Thank you very much for watching another episode. I really, really appreciate it. You know I do. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up. Subscribe if you can. We need to get our subscribers up. Help grow the channel. Click the notification bell so you know when we post new videos. It's should be every week, sometimes more than that, unless I'm away. But yeah, enjoy your bank holiday weekend, and I'll see you all Tuesday, Wednesday. Go on then, a little bit of bonus footage for you. So I've just taken the back panel off the Hornet. Mains transformer bolted to the bottom of the cabinet. Output transformer bolted to the speaker. And that's our board up the top. It looks like it's got an EZ80 rectifier, an EL84 output valve, and a single 12AX7 ECC83 preamp valve. Can I get more light in here for you to see? It's got a filter can capacitor, and it's got another electrolytic here, and it's got this thing here that I don't know what it is. Is it a choke or a transformer? I can't recognise that. Can we get in and have a look? What is that unit? That big black round thing? I think we need to pull the chassis and have a good look. Right, so there we go. So first thing I notice is that there's some type of bubbling or wax spill on the board. It has got waxy caps, so whatever that there is. Yeah, wax. This thing is an inductor. I need to, what labels come off? Need to try and dig out a schematic and work out what's going on where, but it looks like most of these components have got very hot at some point. The output valve's definitely got hot because the screen print is discoloured. On the underside we can look at the board itself. Very cool. So, see if we can dig out a schematic and have a look. But we'll leave it there. That's the end of this video. Enjoy your weekend, guys. See you next week.